presentation slot where we have actually 3 presentations in row. I actually suggest that perhaps the comments could be happening after these 3, so or just in case if the shift is taking like a too long time for some technological problems, there might be time to pose questions in the between. But the first, me and lighting designer student Mia Jarva will present about the Digitalizing Performance project, which was happening in this early autumn. And then after us is going to be a presentation from Tuomas Franti, our lecturer in sound design, and the student Johanna Sulalampi about the augmented reality course. And then sound designer student Kalle Rasekangas is going to present something. Okay, so it works now. So we can say that the headline, the joy of painting sound, will present itself as a last part of presentations. So now I'm just putting my clock to remind us. Okay, just to do some kind of about the directing, a little bit like connecting our part to this seminar in a way that also to force us not to just to present in generally a project, but just have some kind of a point of view or angle. From the book where Martina Leker, who was in yesterday, was editing with 2 other persons, this kind of section. The understanding of performativity and performative practices need to be rethought. To put it somewhat crudely, digital devices and infrastructures perform, and they make humans and non-humans perform. Smart things profile and categorize, foresee and predict, propose and delete, charm and become dubious. Such ascriptions would have been perceived as suspect forms of anthropomorphization only a few years ago. Now they come across as a matter of fact the descriptions of what technological objects and softwares do. So especially these technological and softwares were aligning very well with the, if I'm first like explaining briefly the idea of this project, which was the initiative came from Aalto University, and from there, from the Department of Computer Science and the costume design. And they professors, Mario Di Francesco and Sofia Pantovaki, approached me to suggest this kind of a pilot. They had been already like preparing there to apply some Aalto internal project money for it. So the idea was to create this kind of a student group who would research the topic, to study the possibilities of 3D positioning system data to control theater lighting fixtures and its visual impact on the performance body through the costume. So this was the initial some kind of aim in Aalto end, that they were like describing what is it all about. And of course it was a starting point. And then there came 3 students, Mia from the lighting designers part, and Emilio Lopez from the computer science, and Tiasa Furmen from the costume design. And then the students, you started.
Yeah, we started in beginning of summer, and quite soon we decided that, okay, we actually want more people to our group, because we were expected to hold some kind of demo in the end, and we felt it that, okay, we at least need a performer in there to have somebody hold the costume and be on the stage, because none of us were performers. And we also asked, we found it Alisa Rinne, a circus artist, to be the performer, and Tiasa was really interested to work with Oscar, who is studying set design. They had been working before, and I asked Kalle Rasinkangas, will you see later? Because I knew that this could be something that he would maybe be interested in. And then we had makeup artist and the dog you saw earlier here, who's mine and was hanging around in there too. And the photos that you're seeing on this presentation are taken by Niko Hallikainen.
Okay, and we can go to perhaps to the project practice outline a little bit. That could Mia could open that up.
So when we started in the beginning of summer, we went through our backgrounds because we all had really different backgrounds. I've been studying here for at least 5 years now, and I've been doing theater and dance performances in Finland, which is like some kind of scene in here. And Tiasa, who's from Slovenia, she has more traditional training as a costume designer. And then Emilio, who was a computer scientist from Argentina and in Finland only for the summer for this project, he had never done anything to do with art whatsoever. So that was kind of field just to try to have a common language with each other and to understand how we work, how each of us work, and what kind of stuff interests us and what is like done so many times earlier. So we started from there, and we were also given technological devices beforehand. We had this Kuuppa tracking system, which gave us 3D position data, and we were supposed to use that. That's how we felt, at least, and also to have something to do with moving lights or movement of light, and sure, for the have something to do with the costume too, since we had a costume designer in here. From the start, we felt it a bit limiting, I guess, since, for example, the position data, it wasn't really stable, so it was a limitation, but it was also something that was taken as a character of the, for example, light that we used. It gave it some kind of nature, as we felt, and also the performer later felt. And then we started testing all kind of technical and interactive elements here individually, just the three of us. To get them to work a bit, we tried more of a specific stuff, more something that had a nature with it, some kind of character, and stuff that was had something to do with the more environment kind of things. And then the performer came with us, and when she tested the stuff, it was quite soon pretty obvious that the stuff that had some kind of character were more interesting parts, and the stuff that had to do something with interactive environment, they were kind of like left behind and just added in the very end. But we started to practice and develop a bit more with the characteristic parts, the elements that we had tried. And yeah.
You will see there is one of the trackers that the 3D system is using. So it's this kind of a plastic chip, which could be held in hand or integrated in a costume or some object.
It was pretty practical because it was super light and small, so you can easily hide it somewhere, and it worked through Bluetooth, so you can actually hide it in the costume, and it would actually, if you swallow it, it could still send the position data.
Did you test that?
No, we didn't, but we tested pretty much everything to cover it, and it had to have like quite many layers of folio to cover the
Okay, but still
Bluetooth working.
sending data.
So yeah.
Okay, when we met, we like reflected with Mia like after the project was done and demo. So a little bit like what was interesting us actually. It wasn't. Of course, there was a demo which was feeling like it has a feeling like a performance, but for us it was like a research project. There's still some interesting thing happening in the result, but also in a process. And somehow it has to do with this kind of presence of the other, of technological other, and we were like a question like when a non-human technological aspect begins to feel a counterpart, and when there seems to emerge an interaction. Also, what is this other counterpart, and who is present through the interaction? And then just adding some like links to because the other is there is like long history of this kind of definition of philosophical concept of the other, and it's some definitions of, and it's referring like very easily to the otherness in between the human beings, but also there are readings which are like done either. Like the technologies as some kind of other or quasi-other as he's describing it. It no longer makes something else present, it becomes that something else. So these were like a little bit like in our thoughts to be linking what was happening there. So yeah, and then you could open up this a little bit.
So as I said, that we kind of stuck with the elements that had some kind of character or feeling. And for me, at least, the most interesting parts and most interesting times when Alisa had contact with the other, as she told that she really strongly felt from the very beginning, were the times that she tested them for the first time. And I could, can I find it from here? So this is the first time that Alisa plays with the spot that tracks the tracker in 3D world. And I watched it from some while from the behind of her, and I thought that she knew exactly what she was doing, that she kind of had like just a play with it. But as you see, it won't really, well, it's a bit slow, but it also does this. And it's really frustrating to her because she don't know what's happening in there. And then
she's complaining there at the moment.
She's telling like, why is it doing that? And then in the video at the moment, I'm starting to tell her that, well, there was this like origo in there, and of course it's a moving head that calculates position in XYZ, and then it transfers it to pan and tilt values, and of course there's the origo, like the 0 in there, it does that. And she really, because she doesn't understand, she is not used to work with stuff like this, so it was something really out of her mind. But that kind of frustration, I think that it, looking from the outside, it gave also some kind of own will for the spotlights, and also she felt it because it wasn't doing what it was kind of supposed to do, as she thought it would work, but it kind of had moods going on in there. And then here is the other video, and this is the first time that she tests we made this kind of lightsaber, so it was maybe a bit more easy for her to understand it, because it was also a physical object, not just a follow spot. And this works so that there are DMX-controlled lifts in there, and there are 2 trackers in there, and they are both scaled to control the position of the lifts, so it creates the movement for the lightsaber, as we called it. But the trackers, they are here, this spot and this spot. Really small, it's really dark video. It's maybe a bit hard to see in there. But first, because the data that we were getting from the trackers, it was shaking a bit. It wasn't that stable, so it kind of created this shaky movement, and then she was a bit afraid to touch them first, as you saw. And this is from the final demo, where the trackers, they are on her wrists in the costume, and she has been practicing for a while, so she kind of feels that she can actually even control. She knows what's happening when she does something, even though the values are not that stable. She can still create some kind of movement and be more contact with the movement of light. Yeah, and this was also something that she felt more not that frustrated with the lightsabers than with the spotlight. Because from there we can maybe go to the other. Can't use PowerPoint. Yes.
So this one, you mean?
This one, yes. So this is the reflections of Alisa. I had a talk with her a few days back, and the frustration watching from outside, I felt that the frustration towards the movement of light or whatever it was on the stage, it created some kind of human-like relationship between Alisa and the other. And I asked about that, and she thought that the frustration came mostly from the troubles when trying to understand how the mechanism, the technical stuff going on works, and having control over it. Because she couldn't do that, because she's, in her own words, she said that she sucks at that kind of mathematical, physical stuff, and she just couldn't calculate it. So that gave, that was huge, really frustrating for her. But then she said that when she let go of it and just tried to be on the stage with the other, so that she receives something from, is in the same way interactive relationship with the other than actual human being, then it came lots more easier for her also to control actually the movements and the movements of the other. And also some of the frustration came from when we were practicing for the final demo, and we were kind of in a hurry and kind of feeling a pressure to have something on the stage and to have it work, and she was kind of having a troubles to be there, and she didn't really know how the system is working and is this working as a performance. So that also got a little frustrating for her. But when I talked with her and I tried to ask that, did she feel there's some kind of other, or was it just like environment that she was controlling? She had troubles answering for the question and understanding what I'm actually asking, because she had felt the other so strongly in there. It was so obvious for her that there is somebody else, that she couldn't even think that it could have just been some kind of environment that she was controlling. It had so strong nature through the unstable movement of the data and of her movement that was creating the movement for the other. And then she said, in the end she said that like what she had done maybe more was that it would be nice to know if somebody else would have been there, because now whenever she had the relationship with the other, it was so strict. It was her relationship with the other, and she never saw it so that somebody else would have a relationship with the other. Sure, I demonstrated sometimes like, you do this and the light goes up or something, but it wasn't the same. So she was thinking that maybe there could have been somebody else doing the same choreographies than she was doing, and would that make the difference for the character of the other?
Yeah, and perhaps also the frustration was the frustration seemed to be linked also that the level of the frustration was also adding to this feeling that there is another, that you have a problem with somebody. So it was actually adding this kind of feeling that there's a character who doesn't want to cooperate in a way. It was gaining this kind of otherness.
Yeah, who has its own will, as we as a human want to think.
Okay, and then just some reflections as a last slide, or which is formulated more like a questions. We came to think about afterwards, like which one is that when does the technological interaction with performer or audience suggest presence of a co-actor, a technological other? So this would be like a question for further investigation, like what are the conditions, what is influencing actually, if this would be done again, or really like focusing on the digging out the parameters, or does this sense of presence require a real interaction also?
Yeah, because in the first it was required that there was some like actual interaction, but when we got forward, it came more predictable, and she did the same things, so also the other was doing the same things. So in the final demo there was really not that many moments that the actual interaction would have been needed in there.
Yeah, you could have like a fake that, program that also.
Definitely.
And that comes to the level that when it's, and of course then the performer would kind of, it's a different, perhaps audience is who is seeing it the first time could read it as, okay, there is a interplay. Okay, and yeah, there is can fake interaction create adequate sense of presence of the other? That's actually to put in different words, the previous one. And then in which circumstances the quality of the interaction matters. Also, that is a little bit linked to that. Also, the faking. That is there some kind of a thing that you can't fake? Is some kind of is it too complicated? Something is too complicated. You just can't pre-program it in order to reach some kind of a presence or level of thing which is clearly different if you want to fake it without interaction.
Yeah.
And the last question: what is the difference to audience between interactive environment and technological other? So how does the audience? What are the possibilities to audience to detect actually the interaction? Does it look like the same for them? We were not, of course, there was audience, but of course we were not interviewing audience in any way. So just like observations from the distance. So actually this is something we can't tell, but it would be interesting though to also
for the performer it was really like obvious, but when I wasn't in there on the stage, but I was always present in there, so I could see the things that are happening in the environment and the things that are happening in the other, but I can't make it different. Like I still can't be so far apart watching what's happening in there, and I think it's the same for all of us who was engage with the project.
So basically, that's it. We have like a 6 minutes. If you want to like immediately pose a question, for example, for Mia or who was really inside in a process.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you feel yourself that the other was kind of partly you?
Partly me.
Yeah.
I actually didn't, because I was thinking so much that what's happening in 3D, like how is this following my hand? And I was so much thinking of, I knew too much, I feel.
I mean that when you are programming something, then I quite often feel that I'm putting myself into the program.
Yeah.
Or when you are controlling lights, for example, I feel like it's my presence there.
Yeah, well, I think that because I also programmed some stuff for the final demo. That like I get what you are saying, and that was some kind of that. But for the parts that were in interaction with Alisa, they weren't from me. They were from her. That was somebody out of my body. That was just like I had. And like facilitated the possibilities to happen, but it was so many of them still that I wouldn't say that it was something from me. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. Definitely.
I realized that just to link to the Ilmaris and Laura's presentation of this kind of kinesthetic empathy. So this is more like an anecdote, but as a spectator, when I was looking the performance, I had especially in a moment when Alisa was playing with the lightsabers, how you were calling them.
Yeah.
So they were like I felt while sitting there, I felt like I was starting to really to move, and it wasn't this kind of like emotional. It was partly emotional, but it was more like that my body was responding to this spatial movements, and it has to be part of it. Probably it was because I could somehow detect Alisa's body, but also the very like a strong light form, and because they were interacting, so it was like emphasizing my body starting to move, and I was detecting it myself while sitting there. Okay, something is starting to happen now. I'm not just watching, just as a link. Yeah.
I think it's interesting about the other, that you said that when there's something that doesn't work, when you're not in control, then you feel the other, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like with people.
Yeah.
I'm not in control of you,
Yeah.
and you are.
I'm.
So I did, many years ago, I did this, it was a duo, a dancer and me, sound, and she had a wireless microphone and I had a speaker set up. So the whole soundscape was done with feedback through the speakers and positioned to them. And then of course, so we were kind of creating a symbiosis of our doing, but we could never actually control each other or the whole scape. So the idea of actually programming something uncontrollable so that you can kind of be present and be out of control is interesting thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Joris had a question.
Yeah, I was curious why you feel you needed a performer. Because you said we needed somebody to wear the
Yeah.
But of course, you know, there are other ways to.
Yeah, there are. It's a really good question, and in the end of the summer, I was also questioning that myself, and I don't have answer for that.
And I guess in relation to the questions of audience and interaction, because you know, probably it would be also interesting having audience members participate in some way or other, you know, doing the sensors, becoming puppeteers, mediated performance, dialogue, and stuff.
Yeah, that was something that we were supposed to do, but we kind of ran out of time since we had to also do the stuff with the performer, and of course she was in there, and like it was when I look at afterwards, I think that we wanted to do too much during the summer, and we really ran out of time to do everything, and this is what we end up doing.
No, it's
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it's so interesting how
Yeah,
a class, when you introduce a performer, you are
Yeah.
aiming for this presentation moment.
Yeah.
Immediately you're in this tunnel where there's so many
Yeah.
questions afterwards that you saying you didn't have time is not true. It's just you rather enter
Yeah.
a mode of making
Yeah.
where you don't allow yourself the space to explore
Yeah.
these things.
yeah, I do agree with you. It was just some kind of intuition from us, and I think it was also like something to do with the backgrounds that we are coming from.
Right.
It's so long ago, and I didn't take notes from that conversation that we decided to have the performer. But if I remember correctly, Tiasa, the costume designer, she wanted to do something for the performer and
Yeah.
have it in there. And me and Emilio did agree that okay, it's a good idea to do that, and then we went for it. Because it was also Tiasa's artistic part for her thesis, so we let her to decide what she's doing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I
Yeah.
mean, she could still be there. But it also
Definitely.
means that audience members or you
Yeah.
perform the other. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
So would that be a next step? Do you feel now that
Definitely.
you have this
Yeah.
wonderful Frankenstein puppet lightsaber
Yeah.
thing? Would you
Yeah.
feel you want to perform with it?
I maybe wouldn't, because I'm not enjoying being on the stage, but I think that it would be nice to have somebody else, or have not that much of audience members, but participants to be there and to be with it.
Nice.
And evolve it so that it would create some kind of, it would make sense, because now if there's too many people using that system that we did, I feel it would have huge mess going in there. But from that we could develop more so that there would be actual participants and not just the performer. Yeah.
I think we need to. Ilmari, okay? One shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Long. I saw only the first lightsaber demo, and now
Yeah.
I saw the video of the final
Yeah.
demo. And in the first one, I couldn't understand anything. I was
Yes.
like, I have no idea whatsoever what's happening.
I
And I was
remember.
like, okay, the light is moving and this person is moving, and I don't know if there any interaction or whatever. But when I saw the final demo from the video, and I immediately got the feeling that okay, this person has incorporated the technology, and they are speaking themselves, and like Tomi said, that there is the link between them, and as a spectator you can relate to the technology because there's this the movements resembles these human movements, and they come from the human, but at the same time they are their own how could you say that they have this body, or like a Frankenstein, you always told, they are together, that there is this technological other and the body are together forming this stellar kind of concept, which is very, and to come to some point the path you have been taken, it shows very clearly with this how we are dealing with this technological other in the everyday lighting design or whatever. Like this, it's present here in many ways, like in this space now, and it's like a very interesting research that what we are actually studying in lighting design department.
Yeah, it has these links.
Mm.
But now we can come discuss more afterwards,
Yeah.
and we give the